Hey guys, Probot1701 here, and today we are going to be reviewing Evil of the Daleks, starring the Second Doctor. Well, starring Patrick Trout as the Second Doctor. This is the first time I've ever seen Evil of the Daleks, heard Evil of the Daleks, in any way experienced Evil of the Daleks other than short clips from episode 2 that I've seen before. And I've really been looking forward to seeing it. I've always heard great things about it. It's one that I've really wanted to see for a long time. I've been really excited ever since the animation was rumored. And I have to say, I loved it. It's really good. It's top tier Second Doctor. It's one of the top tier Dalek stories. It's top tier Doctor Who. I really enjoyed it. And I think it fills out its 7 parts really well. Now, I watched the black and white version first, which is different for me. Usually with the animations, I watch the color version first and then the black and white version. But I really wanted to get as close to the original viewing experience as I could with this one, so I had made the conscious decision ahead of time that I was going to watch the black and white version first with the surviving episode 2. And I liked it. I like how the black and white version looks, because sometimes the black and white version looks different. Like the hues and saturation of all that looks different. It's really hard to explain what I mean. Like one of the stories, I swear it almost has a bluish tint to it. Maybe the special edition of Power? I forget. But it looks really good at what they went with here. I like the animation used here. It's really good. It's nice to see the animation team stepping back up. I really love when, was it BB Studios that does like this one and Faceless ones? I really like them. They're my favorite team. I think most of the characters look really good. Victoria looks really good, way better than she did in Fury, where Fury, she looked kind of chubby the way she was drawn. She looks really good here. I personally think Jamie looks good. I've heard some other people criticizing Jamie. I think he looks good here. Although, to be fair, I actually liked how Jamie was drawn in Fury. The one thing I probably liked about Fury was Jamie was drawn well. And I like how he looks here. It's way better than he looked in Faceless ones, where I had some issues with how his nose was done and stuff. Trout, to me, looks pretty good. I don't get all the complaints. Not perfect. I have some issues with the way he looks sometimes, where the face isn't quite right. But it's not enough for me to complain about. It's fine. I liked it. It's very obviously Troughton to me. You could show me a picture of that and I would know it's Troughton. And it looked fine. I enjoyed it. Especially some shots of him straight on look really good. The guest cast looked fine. I like the way they were done. I think you could easily tell who was who. The kind of older one, Maximal or whatever his name is, the beard and hair don't quite match the live action shot, where it looks a little wilder. Kind of gives you this mad scientist vibe. That doesn't quite work in the animation, but he still looks like someone who's sinister. They still do capture that at least. And so I like the animation there. The backgrounds look really good. Let me say that now. The backgrounds look really good. I was really impressed not only with how good the backgrounds looked, but how good the characters and the backgrounds looked together. One of my main complaints about Fury was that the animation style of the character and the kind of painting style they used for the backgrounds were often at odds with each other and didn't match. It looked kind of weird having one on top of the other. They really go together well here. The backgrounds and the character models fit together really well. And the Daleks look gorgeous. I love the 3D Dalek design. Looks really good. Just like with Power, it looks really good. The Daleks are probably the most impressive part of the story. They look really good. They move really well. Watching them turn and move, it looks really good. The surviving episode looks good. Looks like they've done a good job remastering it. I really wish more of the story survived, because so much is down to the characters, the nuances of their face and stuff. I've talked before about how much of Troughton is down to his physical characteristics, his body language, the things he does with his face really add a lot to what he's saying and to his character. And even Jamie in one scene, like when they're walking through the door and the one guy's with him, as they walk through, Jamie's grabbing his arm, saying, "Yeah, you're coming with." Give him a little like, you're like, "Yeah, you're coming too. I don't trust you." And when Jamie almost knocks like the vase or something like that over, when he catches it, he's like, and those are good moments. And then when Troughton's when the Second Doctor's in the laboratory, when the Dalek first shows up, watching the Doctor slowly figuring out what he's up against is just magic. As he's slowly catching on to it's the Daleks. You know, when Victoria's dad and Maxwell, or whatever his name is, are telling the doctor, and they're slowly talking about who's giving them their orders. And, the doctor, and they mention, oh, it's Inhuman, and Trouton's like, Inhuman, And then they start talking about other stuff, and then we try static. The doctor catches on to the static immediately, because, at the time, the Daleks really needed a lot of static to move around, like Invasion of Earth and all that. They needed static. And so you see the doctor catch on to that static, right? You start talking about static. And he keeps coming back to static, because immediately you see him getting suspicious. And then they wanted you, they know about me. And you can tell he's very uncomfortable. Trouton really sells what he's doing with his face and his hands. He's growing more and more uncomfortable with the situation, because it's dawning on him what he's dealing with. So by the time the Dalek comes out and Trouton turns around, and, you understand now? Trouton's just like, yes. Oh, yes. It's just that the futility, realizing, oh, crap, I was right. The futility of the situation. I'm in trouble. It's done so well. The closest thing I can compare it to is the cliffhanger from the moon base. And I've talked about it before, because I love the moon base, and I love that cliffhanger from episode 2 when the doctor figures out where the Cyberman is, and that the Cyberman is in the room with him. And you see that look on his face as it's connecting, as he's figuring it out, and that dawning horror when he's talking to the guy who runs the station. You had your men search everywhere. Everywhere. Did they search in here? Did they search in here? Watch. It's not just the dialogue, it's his face and what he's doing with his hands as he's growing more and more worried and concerned. And it's the exact same thing happening in episode 2, in the surviving footage of episode 2. His face and his hands. And it really makes me wish we had more of this story in its live action form. But again, the animation is great, and when it jumped back, when episode 2 ended, I was like, no, I want more actual episode. But once I jumped back into episode 3, I readjusted to it very quickly, because the animation is done really well. A lot of times, fight scenes actually come out pretty well here, a lot better than in past animations. Like when Jamie is fighting the kind of bigger black guy, that's actually done really well. It's short, but it works. And then the sword fight with Arthur, or whatever his name is, I forget. That sword fight, it's not perfect. It has some clunky moments, but it comes off a lot better than, say, that parking lot fight from the Faceless Ones, which is a little awkward to watch. Well, very awkward to watch. So I actually think the animation's a lot smoother here. And it's done really well. It makes the story enjoyable. I really liked the animation. It's not as good as Macroterra. I still maintain. I think Macroterra is smoother, but I think it is better than Faceless Ones. If I had to place Evil of the Daleks animation, it would be between Faceless Ones and Macroterra. And I enjoy Faceless Ones animation. And it's nice that the animation does match Faceless Ones pretty well, though. Pretty well. You can tell it's done by the same team. You definitely get that impression. So you could watch Faceless Ones and then go right into Evil of the Daleks, since Evil of the Daleks happens right after Faceless Ones. And the animation styles match pretty much, not exactly identical, but very close. And I really enjoy that as well. The story itself, really good. I like the mansion setting. We spend a lot of time there. The little opening bit at the airport is nice. I like, again, the mansion is really nice. It's so big. The whole laboratory mad scientist vibe is really neat. I really love the Dalek voices in this story. This is some of the best Dalek voices, in my opinion. I really love them. Powers as well. Power had really good Dalek voices. Dalek voices are hit or miss in classic Who, but when they're good, they are good. Like Genesis has good Dalek voices, whereas Day of the Doctor had originally bad Dalek voices. I'm glad they redubbed those in the special edition. But here in Power and in Evil, the Dalek voices are so good. They're so creepy. You just get the vibe that these things are evil. Passionless, emotionless, no caring. You just do what you're told. They really do have this analog sound to them, unlike the modern series Daleks. If that's the closest I could think of to compare it to. The modern series Daleks would be the digital, and these Daleks would be the analog version of that. And they really do get that impression that they're recorded on old analog material. the way they kind of reverberate. I love these Dalek voices. They're some of my favorites. And again, I like their design. I'm looking forward to seeing the color version of this story. I'm very excited. I will be watching the color version soon with the animated episode too, just to see if my viewing experience is really different. Because a lot of times it is. I really feel like when you buy an animation, you're getting two stories in one, because I do tend to get different viewing experiences from the color version and from the animation version. Except for Fury from the Deep, I tend to get the same opinion, the same vibe from both of them, which is, my God, this looks like shit. But all the other stories, which are actually watchable, I get very different viewing vibes, especially from Macroterra. And again, I think this is the best animation we've gotten since Macroterra, and definitely the best one besides Macroterra post-Power. It's really a step in the right direction. I really want to see what BBC Studios is doing next. I think they're doing Abominable next, if I remember right, which means Abominable will probably look gorgeous. I love the final scene on Scarra. I didn't realize they actually went to Scarra in this story, so that was neat. I love the shots of the city of Scarra. That was really good animation. I love seeing the Emperor with his booming voice. The Emperor is really well designed. I've seen pictures, of course, before, and I loved the vinyl art, the cover they used for the vinyl release of it. So I knew what the Emperor looked like, but just seeing it on screen and talking and moving is so nice to be able to watch that. Everything going on Scarra is really cool. And watching Trout be, be the second Doctor and be manipulative and deceitful in a good way, he manipulating the Daleks and pretending to be defeated when he's not. A lot like to me, the second Doctor's a lot like the seventh Doctor in the sense that he's 3 moves ahead. Even when he's not, he's figuring out how he can quickly get 3 moves ahead. So if he's not 3 moves ahead, he's thinking about how do I get 3 moves ahead. He's constantly manipulating the situation, sometimes pre-planned, sometimes on the fly. In desperation, but it works, and it's one of the reasons why I love the second Doctor as much as I do. The seventh Doctor and the second Doctor, I think, have a lot in common. But I really enjoyed this story. It's definitely one of my favorite Dalek stories. I don't know between it and Evil which one I like better. I'm going to have to think on that. But yes, it's definitely top tier Doctor Who. You should definitely get this release and watch it. The animation's phenomenal. And it's not very jarring going between the animation to the live action and the surviving episode. It's really, really good. So, Evil of the Daleks, have you seen the animation? What do you think of it? Let me know down in the comments below. Looking forward to watching the color version. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to contribute to that. There is a link to that down in the description below. For the entire month of October, all of my Patreons at any tier level will have access to any of the videos that I either have posted or will be posting, including my ranking of the Doctors. I will be ranking the Doctors soon and across multiple videos. Those will be for my patrons only, but it will be open to any tier level, and you can join it for just $2 a month if that's something that interests you, but there are other tiers as well. Check that out if you're interested. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.